Republicans and bankers go together like peanut butter and jelly. Like peas and carrots, to borrow a phrase from Forrest Gump. But lately, that relationship has apparently soured. Banks, according to Republicans, have gone woke. Oh yeah, those radical leftist environmentalists, they're telling us, have infiltrated these banks and forced them to go along with their radical ideas. And those radical ideas, of course, are for the banks, the big banks, the ones with all the money, to stop investing in fossil fuel projects. And believe it or not, this is actually a global initiative, okay? It's not just a couple of environmentalists out there telling the banks, hey, quit doing this. No, it's a global initiative started by the banks to divest from fossil fuels. And it's pissed Republicans off something fierce, because they are now state by state, Texas, Kentucky, and all other red states out there, working on legislation that will actually penalize and blacklist these banks if they divest from fossil fuels, as of course they have pledged to do. And I put pledged in the air quotes there, not because I'm being cutesy, but because, sure, plenty of them have signed on to these pledges to get their personal financial holdings, the bank's financial holdings, out of the fossil fuel industry because they're killing the planet. However, according to a new report called Banking on Climate Chaos, 60 private sector banks invested $742 billion in coal, oil, and gas companies, even after signing on to this net zero pledge. And we're not talking about your little local community bank, folks. We're talking about JP Morgan, Chase, Citigroup, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, the usual suspects out there, the big banks, the ones that run commercials on TV. These banks said, we're not going to do this anymore. And then, oopsies, we put almost $1 trillion back into fossil fuel holdings. Oops. And what's funny is that Republicans are totally ignoring that. Like, these banks have not pulled their money out of these fossil fuel companies. They're still putting more and more into it. But Republicans are so pissed off at even the thought that it could happen that they're out there passing this legislation, telling these banks, if you do this, you're not going to get any business from our state. That is what the legislation that they're proposing says. And again, this is happening state by state. It's happened in Texas, currently happening in Kentucky. Other red states with, big fossil fuel production, they're saying the same thing. The question I have is, why does a fossil fuel company even need these investments? They're literally making tens of billions of dollars in profits apiece, basically, each year. You don't need to invest in them. They've got more money than they could ever know what to do with. Hell, they're getting $14 billion a year in direct cash subsidies from the federal government itself, not to mention tax breaks and tax cuts. They don't need your banking money. But they get it anyway. And Republicans will damn sure do whatever they think is necessary to make sure that the money never dries up for the fossil fuel industry, even as they continue killing the planet, and we're the ones who suffer the consequences. Hey everyone, this is Aspen. And did you know that for the low cost of $0 per day, you can subscribe to the Fair and Balanced YouTube channel? We also encourage you to like, comment, and share, but again, click that subscribe button and help Aspen not be so grumpy.